Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. These are the Sniper Bladeworks UC Skinners. I've got one in black and one in satin. These are going to be available soon. In fact, I will link information right down in the description so that you can find out how you can get your hands on these. There are early bird specials as well, so pick up a discount if you're interested. Thank you so much to Sniper Bladeworks for providing these knives for review. I don't get to keep them. They will be going back to Sniper Bladeworks when I'm done. These knives are actually part of a group of knives that are being released by Sniper Bladeworks, and I thought it might be a good idea to kind of release these reviews around the time that a lot of these pre-orders are available. So that's why you're seeing a bunch of stuff from Sniper Bladeworks all in a row. These are interesting. I don't normally do fixed blade reviews. It's mainly because I find fixed blades way less interesting than folding knives. But every now and then something comes along that is intriguing. And one of Sniper Bladeworks' biggest things, right? One of the big elements with these knives is the ergonomic lines. It's very unique looking, but it doesn't just look interesting, it's actually functional. And these fixed blades are really cool in the sense that they are smaller. I'm a fan of EDCing smaller fixed blades. If I'm gonna carry a fixed blade, I would prefer that it's smaller. But I still wanna be able to, get a full purchase. These knives actually accomplish that in a super comfortable way. You can see here what's going on. And then the other really fun element is, of course, that there's a bottle opener on it. So this had a little more going for it than a lot of, other fixed blades on the market. And I liked these a little bit more. It was really interesting EDCing this for a few days. And so I'm going to give you guys my thoughts. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. So I'm going to move this guy, and we're going to they're the same. You have an option between green, orange, or black for the scales, and then either coated or non-coated. So you can have your choice. Honestly, if I was going to order one, it would be exactly like this. I think this looks really, really nice. Yeah, those are your choices there. But I'll bring this guy back here in just a second. I'm going to do a few size comparisons. This knife really is about the same overall length as a lot of common folding knives. In fact, it's actually smaller than knives like the 8010. You can check out custom scales down in the description under Original Goat and others. So up against like the 8010 and the 8020.5, this fixed blade is actually almost the exact same overall length as the 8020.5. What is the actual length? Maybe it would be helpful if I measured it. Let's do that real quick. The UC Skinner coming in at 7.5 inches. Blade length, if we go to the handle, is technically, this is like way over because all of this is handle. I'll do a couple different measurements. The metal part, you're looking at 4.25. The actual blade length, 3 inches. Cutting edge, about 2.75, right? So it's just however you like to think of that. You could call all of this blade, but it's really like this is the blade, right? But yeah, cutting edge length actually manages to be slightly more than the AD 20.5, while being almost exactly the same overall length. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3? Why not put it up against fixed blades? Well, truthfully, I'm more of a pocket knife channel, and most of my viewers are pocket knife viewers. So I think it helps most people watching to get an idea of size based on a lot of popular folding knives. You can see this guy's actually fairly close to the Spyderco Para 3. And then finally, how about the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? And let's do the Hogue Deca. There we go. Again, definitely closer to the size, the Hogue Deca. So how's the action on this knife? Kidding. Such a lame joke. Every time I review a fixed blade. Talk about in and out of the sheath, which actually is pretty nice. You can, use the multi-directional clip if you want to. Personally, I think it's awkward to carry a knife on my belt, but maybe you like that. I honestly just shoved this into my pocket and it works. That's part of why I like this. Obviously ultimately what you'd want to do if you're going to do that is take this off completely. but it does work. Even like this, even with the clip on it, it was fine. I got used to it. So I felt like I was carrying a pretty substantial knife. This is a smaller knife that feels big. And it's because of the ergonomic lines. It's because the handle looks so short and the blade looks so long, but you're actually holding on to this part of it. I was looking at this and I was like, why does this feel so big? When, I mean, it doesn't feel huge, but why does it feel so much bigger than it looks? If they had brought the scales all the way up to here, your blade to handle, visual ratios would be that of a much smaller knife. If you would imagine with it, this is all handle, you would view it as a smaller knife. Because it's way back here, it looks and feels like a much larger knife. I think also because we can get a full grip on it and choke up and lock in right here. So that's why that is. I found that very interesting. I've never actually had that experience with a fixed blade before. This is unique in that way. And so the more I carried it, the more I enjoyed it. I don't know that I've really enjoyed carrying a fixed blade as much as this one before. Legitimately. I mean that genuinely. The more I carried it, the more I enjoyed it. I wish that I had an opportunity to use the bottle opener. I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's going to work. I don't think I need to test it to tell you that it's going to work, but it absolutely will. And that's really cool. But listen, the other side of this is a blade, right? So if you're by yourself, that's sad, but if you're by yourself and you need to open a bottle, well, sure, the blade is away from you, that's fine. You'll probably, considering, a lot of times this is a social thing, you'll probably be around other people, right? Or, hey, anybody got a bottle opener, right? In that scenario, there's two people. So be cognizant that the thing that you're using to open the bottle is a blade, and that blade could be pointed at another person. A little bit risky place to put a bottle opener. It is cool. Just be safe with it, right? That's the first thing I was thinking. Retention is fine. It's actually pretty light. A lot of people talk about, oh, it's got great retention. It's really holding in there, right? I don't like it when it's super hard to pull out of the sheath, because then I'm like, oh, how much force is it going to take? And then I end up swinging it. Right? I don't like that. This has just enough right here. That's fine. Just enough. This is the amount of force it takes. I would, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give that about a 3.5. 10 being like, I need to lift Excalibur from the stone, right? And I'm not worthy. That would be a level 10. This is about a 3.5. It's fine. It never came out of my pocket walking around or anything like that. It was fine. The quality of the sheath is very good. I don't know a lot about Kydex sheaths, but it looks good to me. The whole presentation of it is very good. So there you go. There's action. Let's actually weigh it here real quick. Materials. We'll talk about that here in a second. Blade steel is interesting. So with the sheath, obviously you're going to be carrying that. It's 9.42 ounces. I got to be honest with you. If somebody said, "Hey, I got a 9.42 ounce pocket knife," that you want to carry that, I'd be like, "That's really heavy." This, I got used to pretty quickly. I think the mentality is just different when you're carrying a fixed blade because number one, it's normally a larger object. Number two, it's got to have a sheath, right? So I kind of adjusted my expectations, and it's like everything else, you will adapt to it. I'm speaking mostly to people who almost exclusively carry folding knives and have maybe been curious about EDCing a fixed blade. Yeah, it really does work. It just takes a special kind of fixed blade, and you have to really want to do it, right? You have to really want to enjoy it. But in terms of utility, this is also very good, but I just kind of wanted to talk about that. One of the options you have here, this is the similar option with a lot of fixed blades, but underneath here, it is skeletonized, so you can actually remove these scales. I like them. I wouldn't remove them. I like that they're oval-shaped and contoured, and it's got enough swell that it fills the hand. But if you wanted to, you could take them off and paracord wrap it and make it whatever you want. Or you could put your own scales on it, right? But let me go ahead and do a hardware check. Get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. That's a T9. T10 most likely is what we're looking at here. There we go. And yeah, just a couple of T10 screws holding in the scales, and that's fine. There's no lanyard thing. I personally wouldn't need a lanyard. It does have a bow drill. which I personally have never used, have never seen use for it, but I know that many people who watch my channel do have use for that and would use it. So it's worth pointing out. If that's something that you use, it's there. There you go. If you don't use it, you literally will never notice it. In fact, I didn't notice it until, after the first day was over. I was like, oh yeah, that's a bow drill. So, but anyways, or bow drill hole, or bow drill divot, I guess. The bow drill itself is a different thing. Anyways, this guy doesn't know anything about fixed blades. You're right. This is my best attempt to review something. I just realized this guy's been in the shot the whole time. To review something that is totally outside of my, realm of experience, but I did genuinely enjoy. I honestly think this is probably my favorite thing of the bunch of knives that they sent. And it's also the lowest priced item. Anyways, we got weight, we got that. Let's measure blade stock thickness real quick. It is definitely not a skinny fellow. Not at all. Oh, did we die? Oh no. Are we dying? Millimeters, inches, there we go. Okay, no, we're not dead. We're still alive. That's great. Keep on going there, big guy. Still need you a little bit. Definitely not a dainty guy here. We are coming in at almost 180,000, so approaching a fifth of an inch. And that's fine. I kind of expect fixed blades generally to be a little bit on the thicker side, right? Geometry is a bit thick, but also I kind of expect that. Meat and potatoes. The best part about this knife is the ergonomics. The fact that you can get a comfortable, real lock-in. And the jimping is in the right place, right? You would think that little bottle opener would kind of bother you, but it's rounded enough that your thumb just sort of rests on top of it as if these two pieces are connected, right? So I didn't really notice that, and where the jimping is complements the index finger position perfectly. Like I said, it's a bit thick behind the edge. You'll notice that while you're cutting, dense materials. It's called a skinner. I don't do that. I don't skin game or anything like that. So I can't really speak on that. But you can see there it slices just fine and is lifting the edges as expected. So it's, on the tear to slice scale, it's leaning more on the tear, but it absolutely can bite and slice in. If that's optimal cutting geometry for skinning game, I wouldn't know. I just want to be honest with you guys. But processing wood, right? I mean, if you need a tougher blade with a tougher geometry, holy crap, this is going to do it. And it will be very, very easy to touch up thanks to this SUJ2 steel. What is that? Is it a premium steel? No, I wouldn't call it a premium steel, but the rules are a bit different for fixed blades. This is apparently the equivalent of 52-100, which is actually a steel that Spyderco has used in at least one sprint run. I remember having a 52-100 Spyderco Manix 2. 52-100 is absolutely a steel that I would want coated. I would not want an uncoated version of it. You can get it, but you need to, if you're really going to be skinning game with this, boy, you got to make sure it's cleaned off and lubricated. Absolutely. Obviously, coating it is going to create some additional drag on an already thick geometry, but I would prefer that it was coated. 52-100 is, to my knowledge, not stainless. This was also compared to 51-60, but the trade-off was this has better edge retention and not quite as good as toughness. 52-100 is this is a ball bearing steel, by the way. It's already very tough. I wouldn't worry too much, and the geometry of the blade is definitely on the more robust side. It's also a shorter blade. Honestly, I wouldn't worry about it. Edge retention, it's not 52-100 is not a steel that's known for edge retention, so probably not going to hold an edge super long, but it will be ridiculously easy to touch up. Leather strop touch up, right? And if you need to reprofile it, won't take long. Honestly, these are great qualities in a fixed blade, and I think the steel is actually the right choice. One of many possible right choices, right? Not everything needs to be M390 in order for it to have, a fairly high price tag. I think M390 would be a stupid choice for this. And honestly, I think M390 is a stupid choice for a fixed blade. I know I'm coming down specifically on M390. I just kind of always cringe when I see, like an M390 fixed blade. It just doesn't make any sense. I think a steel like this actually makes sense. Now, would it be cool to have it in 3V, crew wear, something a little bit more fancy? Sure, right? Sure. But does this work? Is it acceptable? Absolutely. This is definitely a tool. It's definitely designed as a tool. And so having it complemented with a steel that makes sense makes sense to me, right? I find this just genuinely more interesting than regular fixed blade. And you guys know that I'm big on ergonomic lines. That's a big, if you can win there, you can win me over. And this is one of the most comfortable fixed blades that I've ever handled. I think I say that, but I think it's just a different style of ergonomics because a fixed blade is normally just got it's hard to screw up ergonomics on a fixed blade. Handle, make it comfortable to hold. In some ways, a traditional fixed blade with kind of a thick, swelly handle. Is swelly a word? I don't think so. It will be more comfortable for a lot of people. I think that I like this because of the unorthodox choke-up position. The fact that the handle ends right here. The rest of this is just metal, right? After a lot of cutting in this position, you will definitely feel it. In fact, in the hammer grip, if you're not wearing gloves, you will definitely feel it. Absolutely. But it is comfortable. Making a quick cut, right? Doing a little bit of detail work, something like that, it's fine. You can also rock back here, hold on to this, right? I mean, you're not nearly as close to the blade, and this is a little bit awkward, but it will save your hand depending on how you're cutting. Obviously, if you take the scales off and you paracord wrap it, you might be able to change that a little bit, but there are no holes up here. So yeah, hot spots definitely up here, but also it's an interesting comfort zone, I guess is what I'm saying. Like this little area right here behind the flat, right? And the flat carries out, by the way, about 80% the length of the blade. A little bit of a swedge, definitely a robust tip, but looks good. I like the Sniper Bladeworks logo right here. A lot of times I see the logo and I'm like, don't do that. It takes away from the aesthetic, but honestly, I think it looks pretty cool. On the other side, it just says SUJ2. Where are these made? I believe it's just like everything else in the box that they sent. It's made in Taiwan, which I always make sure people know is not China. There's a lot to unpack there, apparently for some people, but it isn't China. It also costs a lot more money to make things in Taiwan versus China. So keep that in mind. It's not nearly as expensive as manufacturing or labor in the US, but definitely more expensive than stuff that's made in China. So there you go. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's really not a whole lot more to talk about here. I enjoyed this. I think that there are obviously, there are so many choices out there for fixed blades. And at this price point, it is extremely competitive. This is not going to win any awards for pricing. Certainly not. These come in at MSRP at $150. Early birds, if you pre-order this, you get a $25 discount apparently for $125, right? So if you're going to pick this up, assuming you're watching this video when it drops, you pick it up, you're looking at roughly $125 fixed blade. Yeah, that's pretty competitive. There are lots of companies out there making some really nice fixed blades at this price point. Honestly, I really was hoping to find out these were going to come in under $100. Now, 125 isn't an absolute kick in the teeth, and I enjoyed the knife enough that I'm not super upset about it. But it's kind of like the other knives in the box that they sent. They're fun, but they're just really expensive, right? So I enjoyed this. If you're like me, if you are a folding knife guy who has a hard time justifying carrying a fixed blade because it's just overkill for a lot of stuff that you do, and you find fixed blades less interesting in general because all they do is come in and out of their sheath, right? If you're like me, and that mentality is you, and you're a sucker for really good or just interesting ergonomic lines, you might like this, right? I think it's just a little cherry on top that it's got a bottle opener. But if you're not, and it just comes down to, how good of a tool is it and, what's the price, those ratios aren't the best, right? So you have to kind of like those elements in particular. You almost have to be kind of like me to really, really want to buy this. But I think there are plenty of people who think like me and would actually enjoy this. Like I said, you can just put it in the sheath and throw it in your pocket. If you're like me and you don't like having things hanging off your belt, right? I can't stand that. I don't want anything hanging off my belt. I want it in my pocket or I don't want it on my person, right? So if you're like me, I would just take this part of it off and put the sheath in your pocket, which will work. That'll work just fine. It's big enough that it's not really going to move, unless you have like giant pockets, it's not really going to move around that much, and it's mostly concealed outside of the handle. So it's got that compactness, but it still feels like a full-size knife. So yeah, I honestly can't believe I just did a 20-minute review on a fixed blade. This video is definitely not going to be the type of video that fixed blade folks really like to see, but you know, this is mostly catering to an audience that's used to folding knife content, overview folding knife content. So I hope you guys got what you wanted out of this. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I just think it's a bit pricey. So anyways, like I said, links for all of this down in the description, your options, all of that. If you want to check it out, you might as well get the discount. So make sure you hop on that early bird special. Again, thanks so much to Sniper Bladeworks for sending these in. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do of course have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoyed all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.